Hey Rockets, it's Mrs. Wilkenbush. We are continuing our book club study with Masterminds by Gordon Korman. I think the story's getting really good. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. So chapter 12, Tori Priddle. The instant I step inside the house, the projectile strikes me dead center in my forehead, landing on the tiles at my feet. Steve, my mother's voice is exasperated. Shh, Dad hisses urgently. This is a delicate operation. It requires the utmost concentration. Another shot is coming toward me. I open my mouth to catch it, but it bounces off my chin and hits the floor beside the first miss. When I reach down to pick them up, my father stops me with a wagging finger. There's an art to this. An artist like you should understand that. He takes another piece of caramel corn from the bowl and tosses it in my direction. It's a good throw, but it bounces off my teeth as I try to snap it out of the air. You'll attract every bug in New Mexico, Mom warns, but she's smiling. Dad's next attempt is wide to my left, but I'm able to catch it with my mouth. We celebrate. Another terrific reception. And Mom doesn't even say anything when I scarf down the first 3 missed attempts. Our house is so clean you really can eat off of the floor. Where were you, honey? She asked. Oh, just at the park. Who with? Dad probes. Eli and Malik, I reply carefully. Hector was there too. Amber stopped by looking for you, Mom informs me. I'd assume you were with her. I tried to sound casual. No, not this time. This is the hardest part. Not that I'm plotting to break every rule of the only place I've ever known, but that I don't dare tell my closest friend. Amber suspects something's up, and it really hurts not to be able to confide in her. But I don't dare. And not just because I promised the boys. What we learned at the factory the other night is something she could never accept. So I can't tell her. Not until I have real proof. The problem is, proof of what? We know that things are being kept from us and from our internet's, and our internet's different, and the factory isn't exactly what it's supposed to be. But that's not the same as understanding why. Yes, we're being deceived, but what's the purpose of the deception? What is the something screwy Randy warned us about? What about our project, Amber demands. How are we ever going to get it finished by Serenity Day? Don't worry, I assure her. Once I get the faces right, the rest of the mural should be a breeze. She obviously notices that I'm not around as much. But I don't think she suspects who I'm with. And the fact that the 4 of us are planning a break-in, well, that's something she can't ever know. It goes without saying we're not experts. In Serenity, the only thing we learn about breaking entering is that it's someone else's problem, somewhere far, far away. I draw a map of the entire town detailing every single building, house, and flagpole. We walk, bike, scooter, skateboard, rollerblade, and even pogo stick every inch of the place in search of a fresh view of the plastic works that might reveal a way in that we haven't thought of yet. Here's what we've come up with so far. 1. Find a 30-foot ladder and try for a window. Flaws. Window may be wired to an alarm, impossible to estimate drop to factory floor, no place to hide ladder from surety patrol. Plus, this is a small town with no tall buildings. If anyone has use for a ladder that big, it would be at the plastic works themselves, and we obviously can't ask them if we borrow it. 2. Splice extensions into an existing alarm wires in order to bypass the door. Flaws. Not sure how to cut the wire to splice it without setting off the alarm in the first place, and even if that's possible, we'd still need to pick the door lock quickly enough to avoid the patrol. Not a skill they teach us at school. 3. One of us stows away on the golf cart and is driven inside the purple people eaters themselves. Flaws. Golf carts aren't limousines. There's no place to hide and very little clearance underneath. Also, we have no evidence that the golf cart ever enters the building. In other words, we've got nothing, Eli concludes sadly. Not necessarily, I muse. What about the roof? The roof? Malik repeats incredulously. If we can't reach the windows, how can we get up to the roof? The windows are harder because they're exposed, I explain reasonably. The patrol can spot us from the golf cart, but once we're on the roof, we're out of sight, and we've got all the time in the world to find a way in. We can't even see the roof, Hector points out. How are we going to get there? How are we going to know if there's an access to the building? No problem, Malik says sarcastically. I'll just ask the Purples if we can borrow their helicopter. He's got a point, Eli admits. There's not a place in town high enough for a view of the factory roof, not even the flagpole. What about the online archives, I wonder? Steve showed me how to access them on my computer. There are all kinds of images of the town and surrounding area. Some of them are really cool. Maybe there's an aerial photograph. We've already checked, says Malik. They've got pictures and schematics and blueprints of every building in Happy Valley except the plastic works. Hector speaks up. Well, maybe we can get our own aerial photograph. Malik snorts. You got a pet hawk I don't know about? Hector makes a face to him. Go fly a kite. Here's the tip. Never let boys into your studio. They're all thumbs. The thin wooden dowel snaps in Malik's hand when I ask him to hold it. Hector pours quick drying glue onto his shoes. Eli can't cut through a two-ply plastic garbage bag without shredding it. I end up doing everything myself while these three clods stare at me like I'm spinning straw into gold. I'm just wrapping the plastic around the frame of the kite to make it sail when I spy Amber outside my house. Get down, I hiss. Why? Asked Malik. So we're here, so what? I've been ducking her to work on our plans, I explained breathlessly. You want me to have to explain that? We sit on the floor away from the window, crouching low as I finish the sail. The doorbell rings once, twice. My parents aren't home, so nobody answers. Eventually, I spy Amber through the windows, walking away. The coast is clear, I announce, suddenly feeling like a lousy friend. The day is sunny and blustery, at least blustery for around here. Sometimes the prevailing winds are pushed south toward us by the mountains of Colorado. Of course, that information comes from school, so it isn't necessarily true. For all we know, some mythological wind god blows over Serenity through Titanic lips. But today, nobody's complaining. We've got good visibility and enough wind to keep the kite in the air. I squint up at it, using a hand to shield my eyes from the bright sun. Do you think we got what we need? Eli lets out more string. His hands work deftly on the spool. I built the kite, but he added the most important part, a small wireless webcam fastened to the diamond frame. Let's go a little higher. The camera's pointing straight down, so unless we're directly over the factory, we could miss it. If the kite's too far up, we might not be able to see anything, Hector warns. Eli is unconcerned. The camera's pretty high res, so we can zoom in without too much loss of sharpness. It's all Greek to me. Eli's the tech guy. I'm just the kite maker. As your doctor, comes a deep, sarcastic voice, it's my medical opinion that flying a kite from the middle of the public street can be hazardous to your health. We wheel. It's Dr. Bruder beaming over a red bow tie, amused, and maybe a little curious. Right, Dad, Malik replies. Like, traffic's really heavy today. If we're still here at rush hour, we might even see a car. It only takes one, or one of the trucks from the factory. I don't see why you have to be here. There are plenty of open spaces at the park. We started in the park, and the wind kept taking the kite and the webcam away from the plastic works. Aerial photographs of the rocks outside the town might look beautiful in my studio, but they're not going to show us the roof of the factory. Obviously, this isn't an explanation we can give to Dr. Bruder. We're all tongue-tied, and it crosses my mind that this is the most dangerous than it appears to be on the surface. If the adults suspect that something's up, even if they can't figure out what, they might start watching us a little more closely. You don't have much of a chance of breaking into a factory if you can't get past your own front door. Hector bails us out. Too many trees at the park. Our kite kept getting tangled in the branches. It sounds so reasonable, we almost believe it ourselves. I suppose Dr. Bruder concedes, but cars can come at any time, so please be careful. And he's on his way. Nice save, Malik compliments Hector once the coast is clear. Don't let me catch you lying to me like that. Don't worry, Hector grins. If it happens, you'll never know. I peer up at the kite, which flutters above the tallest of the smokestacks. Surely we've got a good picture by now. Eli begins to realign. We'll find out tonight. Tonight, Malik echoes. Why not now? I set the camera to upload to a website, Eli explains, still whining. That's on the real internet, not the watered down bag of lies we get here. We'll have to check it from the factory grounds. I brace myself for another midnight sneak out. I'm almost late. Steve gets wrapped up in West Coast baseball game that goes into extra innings until someone finally scores. I'm trapped in my room with my arms wrapped around my knees, rocking and waiting. This whole thing is completely freaking me out. I make it, though, and meet Eli under the big maple tree. Malik and Hector, who are neighbors, arrive together, bickering about something, but quietly. Ready for round two? Eli asks. We retrace our steps towards the plastic words. It's even scarier this time around, because we know there are purples prowling the grounds. Then we get a break. As we approach the base of the Fellowship Hill, Eli's iPad suddenly picks up a faint Wi-Fi signal from the plastic works. This is huge. It means we'll be able to get to the real internet without having to trespass on factory grounds. We duck into some tall grass just outside the perimeter fence and crowd around Eli. Something bothers me. If the town went to all the trouble to create a fake internet, it's because they don't want us to see the real thing, right? So how come they didn't make it harder to find? Hector has a theory. If the real Wi-Fi works in the factory and the fake Wi-Fi works in our houses, maybe no one's thought to check where one stops and the other starts. Figures, Malik mumbles. It's like buying 3 giant trucks and driving them all over the place, but never bothering to dust off the cones so they'll look new. We need to remember that, Eli puts in. The people we're up against aren't always as thorough as they could be. The people we're up against, Malik challenges. Why can't you just admit the truth? Those people are our own parents. Not necessarily everybody, I say tight-lipped. Dream on, terrific. I've got it, Eli announces suddenly, his fingers just a blur on his iPad's touchscreen. He holds the tablet out to us. I squint at what appears to be a series of black and white images of the town. There are big, beautiful homes, kidney-shaped and rectangular pools, immaculate landscaping. How could anything be wrong in such a perfect place? Now we know it's only perfect from the air. Hector indicates the top of the screen, which reads, Ohio Lollipop Festival. Why is it called that? Eli shrugs. I figured our parents might be checking the internet for anything that said Serenity Plastic Works, but no way will they be looking out for a lollipop festival. There it is again. Our parents as the enemy. Malik is unimpressed. These may well as be pictures of lollipops if they don't show us a way into the factory. Can you see anything? I sure can't. Eli manipulates the screen. Let me get us a better view. He selects the clearest of the images and zooms in on the roof. From above, the plastic works resembles a gigantic rectangular birthday cake with grainy gray icing and 3 smokestack candles. Hector points. What's that dark part over there? We lean in. It looks like a separate section, Malik notes, wheeled off from the rest of the roof. Hector frowns. Not separate. Lower. It's in the shadow of the rest of the building. Like a halfway point, I exclaim. We can use it as the stepping stone, climb up from the ground to there, and then from there to the roof. But how do we get inside? Asks Eli. Malik brow furrows. There must be a roof access. You know, if it's got air conditioning brakes, they don't have to hoist the repair guy up by a crane. And then I have it. See that dark square underneath the compressor? I think it's a trap door. That could be our way in. Could be, Malik challenges. I'm not a big fan of climbing giant buildings for nothing. I know it's risky, Eli decides, but the choice is between doing this and doing nothing. And doing nothing isn't an option. That's the end of chapter 12. Are you guys getting into this? I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Hey, so have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Get outside if there's some sun and be well. See you soon, Rockets.